Hey, Tech Tribe. It's Steve here, your fellow tribe member. So recently I was approached in private by several tribers asking to pick my brain and also see our processes and checklist system that we were using because they were struggling to, build a foundation for their processes and checklist. This is something that I struggled with as well to kind of get that starting point and build a foundation, and it took me almost a year to get to what I'm about to show you. So before I begin, let me say that I was the absolute king of sloppiness, which I fully admit to. I never followed any processes over the years when I was solo, never followed any checklists. I made many, many mistakes, some of them pretty costly, which I will own up to. And at the beginning of the year of January 2020, I had four full-time techs working for me. So now we have a staff of 16, and in order to facilitate that, we had to get really serious about creating repeatable processes and checklists that somebody can sit down and look at it for the first time and start using. So around January of this year, I had all of a handful of SOPs, maybe around 30 or so. Our number of SOPs now are maybe around 300, in the hundreds, and we keep everything in teams now. So let me just say, maybe 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago, I had all these SOPs that you see in front of you in IT Glue, and we pulled them all out. These are all internal facing. Nothing. Most of them, or the vast majority of them, don't have anything to do with clients. They're all internal. I pulled them out of IT Glue and put them in Microsoft Teams. And the reason why I did is I had two people, namely my procurement specialist and my client concierge, that do not have accounts with IT Glue, nor will I ever have one. And so it was a bit frustrating that I had a lot of our documentation in IT Glue. I had a couple of people that could not go in there and access that. So it was a bit fragmented from a structural point of view. So I pulled it all out and put it into Microsoft Teams. And I can tell you from experience is if you want to create a reliable structure for SOPs and checklists, you need one point of entry, whatever the case may be. But you had to have one point of entry for your team, for everybody, that they go to one place, and that's where they're going to go to find everything. So now that I have everything set up or staged in teams and team structure, it's been a lot easier just mentally. Just I just come here and I know where to find everything. All right. So as you can see here, this is our team structure, traditional folders. There's probably several hundred documents in here. My SOPs are all in Word documents. Here's my SOP template that we use. Show you process purpose is usually just a sentence or two to show you what the process is about. The default resource is I go by roles, not people names. So the default resource is typically the role that is responsible for executing this SOP. So that might be service manager, that might be client support, that might be onboarding specialist, my calibration admins, whatever the case may be. So I put the role in here and not a person's name. Schedule is obvious, and then process description can run anywhere from a couple sentences to a paragraph to even a page or two. It depends. And then Trello checklist will be the link to the Trello checklist if there is one. And so typically the dividing line for us is if it's a process that does not require somebody ticking off items, then it just stays in the SOP. And if it's a process where it does require a checklist, for example, setting up a new firewall or whatever the case may be, then we'll create a Trello checklist. So also let me add is for every Trello card, I have a matching SOP, which I will show you in a few minutes. All right, so the reason why I did that is I did not want to have unique content in Trello and then also SOPs and teams. I wanted teams to be the starting point, and I wanted everything to flow through teams. So if we make a computer card for which I will show you for a computer setup, for example. There will be a very simple SOP with a link. This way, just all flows through there versus me having to figure out, is this an SOP in Teams or is this a checklist in Trello? All right, so that's why I did it, and it's just structured very nicely. It just works for us. Okay, let me close that. Here is my master SOP list, which we build on all the time, the tab in Teams. And it's just basically a big document with all the links to all of our SOPs in Teams. And the reason why I did this is, I search for stuff and that works great. However, sometimes I just don't remember what I named something, or I'm not quite sure what I'm looking for. So then it's just way easier for us to come to the master SOP list and just kind of search by category. And I can just scroll here and know exactly, what I'm looking for. Okay. All right. So let's look at this one for an example. So here's the SOP for data deletions. And as you can see, process purpose, simple, just a line or two. Default resource, in this case, it is all resources, schedule, and then the process description. And you can see this is over a page long. It's more of a decision tree, but you will also, I'll also point out that there's no items in here that need to be checked off, which is why it's not a Trello checklist and why you don't see a Trello checklist at the bottom. So this is, all process based, but not a checklist. So that's how we kind of make that dividing line. Okay, so let me close that out. And let me show you the computer disposal one. So this is what I was referring to earlier. This is a Trello checklist. And as you can see, just a simple one-line description, what the process is about. In this case, the default resource is my service manager. He's the one responsible for executing this process. And we don't even, we keep it simple. So there's no need for a process description because we already know what it is in the process purpose. And then there's a link here to the Trello checklist. So I'll bring the browser over. And as you can see, it brings up the Trello card. And I can just create a card from template, all right, with the items in here. Now, there are a few standard items that we keep for a Trello card. As you can see, do this first. And it just reminds whoever's working on it to create the card versus working on the original. Also tag the auto task ticket number in the card if there is one, so that if we need to search in here, if I need to go back and look to make sure everyone or somebody did all these items, I can easily reference this card to the auto task ticket. And then we also don't work on cards in this master template board, so just move it to a different one. I mean, that's just what we do. Okay, so here's the actual checklist item for the disposal. And then there's the do this last, which is very important. Update the template and/or SOP in Teams if a task or process needs to be improved. And that's how we've been doing it for this year, which has gained a lot of traction. All right, so when you execute an SOP or a checklist, that's only really half the battle. The other half is going back to the original and then ask yourselves a question: how do you make it better for the next time? And that's what we've been doing. And little by little, it's been getting there. So compared to 6 months ago, for example, we are making a lot less errors. Everything is getting streamlined and everybody has gained a lot of traction. The reason being is because we keep filling out these SOPs and checklists, and then we're going back and updating the originals so that it's just better for next time. And every time there's an issue, the checklist gets updated, and then that issue is not an issue next time because it doesn't happen again because it's on the checklist. All right, close that. Let me go to my computer setup. And this is another one, just going to show you multi-stage. So, multi-stage checklist, and as it has the same format. Do this first to remind somebody to, move it out of here and not work on the original, and then to do this last, how do I make it better? Update it for next time. And let me close that close browser window. I'm also going to show you one last item. So this is the Trello plugin for Teams. So I can also just come in here directly to work on checklist items and cards and boards or create them. So if I know it's in here, I can just, copy it directly. I don't need to pull it up in the SOP first to get the link. All right. So sometimes, yeah, it is easier just to come in here directly, but I always want the starting point to be in Teams so that if I'm searching for something or looking for something, I know I can go to one place, which is the master SOP list, and then find the Trello card if I'm not sure, rather than coming in here, and searching around. All right, so that's it. As I mentioned at this point, as a also as want to add as a business owner, all right, I don't want to have the same conversation 5 times. So my mentality as a business owner now, which I did not have early in the year, is if I'm going to explain a process to somebody, what I do is I will take 10 or 15 minutes out of my day and I will create an SOP and I will give the SOP to that person rather than type it to them or hop on a call and explain it to them. If I know that I have to repeat that process again, I just create the SOP the first time and then I give them the foundation. And most of the times I tell them, here's the SOP. I just made it. You can build on it, but I created the structure for you. And that's how it's been working. And as I said, our tickets, our number of tickets have come way down since from earlier in the year, and everything has gained traction, and we're closing a lot of loops and just eliminating, a lot of the generalized mistakes that were happening early this year by utilizing this system that I created. We're using the free version of Trello, and this is all built in Teams. So the cost is virtually zero, and that's it. So I'm going to include my master SOP document list for anybody who wants to see it. Also include the template. And if anybody wants any help or guidance, I'm happy to help anybody, anytime, no problem. I know it can be frustrating on figure out where to get it started from. I've been in the same boat, so I'm happy to help anybody. All right, that's it. Have a great day, guys. Thank you. Bye.